Have you ever wondered how a theory born more than 2 centuries ago continues to shape every shopping decision, every corporate strategy, and every national economy? Welcome once more to Adam Smith's invisible hand, an idea that dates back to 1776, yet still stands at the core of global finance, corporate tactics, and even the mundane task of stocking your grocery store. If you've ever scored a great deal on a smartphone, noticed prices dropping when competition heats up, or enjoyed a new wave of products and services flooding the market, you've likely experienced the invisible hand in action, often without realizing it. Today, we'll delve even deeper into why Adam Smith's vision remains such a driving force, how it fosters both enormous innovation and pressing moral dilemmas, and why even market-driven nations can't entirely ignore the call for government intervention. By the end, you'll see clearly how an 18th century concept silently steers and sometimes disrupts the modern world, influencing everything from local bakeries to global tech giants. Let's start again with Adam Smith himself. Born in 1723 in Scotland, Smith became a leading thinker in political economy, crafting ideas that would outlive him by centuries. His landmark work, The Wealth of Nations, emerged in 1776, coinciding with American independence, and laid out the foundations for capitalism and free markets. Within those pages, Smith advocated for unshackled competition, a division of labor to boost efficiency, and the potent force of self-interest. Yet the jewel in his crown was the notion of an invisible hand, a term that has sparked endless debate among economists, historians, and policymakers. What exactly is this invisible hand, expanded version? Smith asserted that individuals acting out of personal self-interest, whether to earn a profit, secure a pay raise, or chase a great deal, often end up contributing to the broader welfare of society, even if they never intended to do so. There's no master coordinator. Instead, each person's private ambition nudges businesses to enhance products, slash prices, and pursue continuous improvement. Competition becomes the key that aligns self-interested pursuits with societal gain. Imagine a local grocery store to see this in practice. No single authority instructs the store owner on how many tomatoes to stock or what price point to set. Instead, farmers cultivate tomatoes and offer them at a particular rate, hoping to earn a living. Distributors negotiate deals to get produce to market. Store managers watch sales data, adjusting orders if tomatoes start piling up or selling out too fast. Meanwhile, you, the customer, pick which ones look fresh or cost less. Multiply that scenario by billions of daily decisions across the globe, and you have an unplanned, yet astonishingly complex coordination of supply and demand, functioning without a central blueprint, all courtesy of the invisible hand. This might sound obvious to a 21st century audience, but in the 1700s, it was nothing short of revolutionary. At the time, mercantilism ruled, with governments heavily regulating trade, imposing tariffs, and granting monopolies. Smith offered a radical alternative: free individuals to act on their interests, and an order will spontaneously arise. Markets, in his view, could self-regulate better than any government official could manage. Over the ensuing centuries, these ideas fueled the expansion of global trade. Britain embraced free markets during the Industrial Revolution, spurring breakthroughs in manufacturing and technology. Other nations followed suit to various degrees, forging trade agreements and fostering international commerce. Corporations and financial markets sprang up around the world, building on the basic premise that competition, not central planning, drives economic vitality. However, if the invisible hand worked flawlessly, we'd see no corporate monopolies, no financial crashes, and no environmental crises. Real life, of course, is more tangled. Smith himself acknowledged that when private gains come at society's expense, like monopolistic collusion or pollution that hurts others, unfettered markets can fail. He didn't champion a free-for-all, but advocated strategic government intervention to maintain justice or fairness without stifling entrepreneurial spirit. Let's explore some modern examples to see where the invisible hand thrives and where it falters. First, consider the smartphone arena. Major brands like Apple, Samsung, and Google constantly race to outdo each other with better cameras, faster processors, and sleeker designs. Why? Because capturing market share directly translates to profit. In response, consumers are treated to rapid innovation and frequent price drops. No one decreed that phones must improve every year. The market dynamic, driven by self-interest, compels it. Another example is ride-sharing. Before Uber and Lyft, many cities operated with taxi monopolies that could dictate high fares and mediocre service. Then came app-based ride services, fueled by the desire for profit and convenience. Suddenly, the standard changed. Cheaper rides, user-friendly apps, driver flexibility. Cities that once had few transportation choices discovered a wealth of options. No government mandated that ride-sharing apps must exist. They arose from private entrepreneurs seizing an opportunity and pushing the entire sector to evolve. But the invisible hand has blind spots. Look no further than environmental issues, such as factory pollution. A business might dump waste into a river to cut costs. The local community foots the bill, dealing with contaminated water or dying fish populations. Because the business doesn't directly bear the cost of environmental harm, there's little incentive to adopt cleaner processes, unless regulations or consumer backlash force them to. Smith recognized such failures, suggesting that the law must protect the public from unscrupulous practices that the market alone fails to police. The 2008 financial crisis stands out as a dramatic illustration of how short-term profit-seeking can destabilize entire economies. Banks packaged risky mortgages into securities, sold them as safe assets, and raked in enormous profits. Investors snapped these up for quick gains. When borrowers defaulted in vast numbers, the system unraveled, culminating in government bailouts to avert a full-scale collapse. This scenario showcased the invisible hand gone awry, where greed overshadowed prudence and no built-in market mechanism rescued the situation in time. So the challenge becomes, how do we harness the dynamism of the invisible hand while preventing catastrophic breakdowns or social injustices? Many economists contend that moderate regulation is key. Laws against fraud, anti-competitive behavior, or harmful externalities like pollution. Others argue that markets perform best with minimal interference, claiming that economic cycles, including downturns, are a natural part of growth. Interestingly, this debate surfaces in our daily lives more than we realize. When you compare prices online, your personal desire to save money compels sellers to cut costs or boost quality, embodying the invisible hand in microcosm. When you negotiate a salary or look for a job, your quest for a better deal can collectively raise wages industry-wide as companies compete for talent. But social media algorithms present a modern puzzle. Platforms fight for engagement and profit, sometimes promoting divisive or sensational content that helps them, yet may harm public discourse. Smith never predicted Twitter, but he understood that unbridled self-interest can lead to socially negative outcomes unless reined in by ethical or governmental checks. Climate change offers another vantage point on the invisible hand's limits. If fossil fuels remain cheaper and easier, many businesses will follow that route for immediate gain, ignoring the long-term damage to the planet. The invisible hand seldom accounts for generational impacts unless regulation forces carbon costs onto companies or consumer sentiment shifts toward greener products. In effect, we see a tension between short-term profits and enduring sustainability, a conflict the hand alone might not resolve. Does that mean the invisible hand is outdated? Far from it. Despite its flaws, it underlies capitalism and has fueled centuries of growth, innovation, and rising living standards. The question is how to refine and temper it so that markets remain vibrant without wreaking havoc. Adam Smith, if alive today, might urge robust frameworks that preserve competition, discourage cronyism, and ensure those who benefit from the system also shoulder its costs, whether environmental or social. We see this push and pull in ongoing political debates. One side exalts free markets, claiming that minimal intervention unleashes entrepreneurship and wealth creation. The other side warns that absent checks, markets breed inequality, environmental degradation, and corporate oligarchy, harming many while enriching a few. Both are partly correct. The invisible hand can foster rapid improvements, but can also let greed run amok. Smith's own writings acknowledge the need for a fair legal framework. He just believed in a light touch overall. Historically, the Industrial Revolution, fueled by free market principles, led to enormous prosperity, but also abysmal factory conditions. Governments eventually stepped in with labor laws, safety regulations, and social welfare programs, steering the invisible hand away from pure exploitation. Jump ahead to the modern era, and we see how the crisis of 2008 forced governments worldwide to re-examine financial regulations. Meanwhile, the ever-expanding tech sector raises new concerns about data monopolies and algorithmic manipulations. The conversation never stops. On a personal level, the invisible hand influences more decisions than we realize. Every time we shop, choose a service, or chase a better opportunity, we're participants in a colossal network of self-interest. That network, in theory, balances out to serve the public good, though we know it can misfire. Our day-to-day actions, like selecting eco-friendly products or opting for transparent companies, can guide market signals in ways that shape future offerings. When enough people demand ethical goods or punish polluters by avoiding their products, it can shift an industry. So is the invisible hand still the best system? Or do we need a fundamental overhaul? Ask tech titans like Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk, who rely on self-interest-driven innovation to beat competitors and delight consumers. Ask environmentalists who see unregulated capitalism as leading us toward climate catastrophe. Ask the millions of workers who benefit from new jobs and rising wages in competitive markets, or those left behind when industries automate or move offshore. There's no one-size-fits-all answer, but the recurring theme is that unbounded self-interest and the pursuit of profit must be balanced by either moral considerations, public pressure, or government statutes. Ultimately, the invisible hand remains a brilliant yet imperfect mechanism. It's spurred unprecedented wealth, progress, and creativity, but it also fosters inequality, environmental harm, and periodic crises. We still wrestle with the same question Adam Smith posed: how to let markets function freely while keeping them from cannibalizing the very society that sustains them. In essence, Smith's insight that countless individual choices can coordinate society's resources more effectively than a single directive has proven durable across centuries. That durability speaks to human nature. We respond to incentives, compete for advantage, and innovate to meet demands. But human nature also includes greed, short-sightedness, and exploitation. The invisible hand can harness our better impulses for collective gain, yet it can't fully tame our worst instincts without outside guidelines. So as you snag that bargain, follow stock prices, or even launch a startup, realize you're woven into this centuries-old tapestry of self-interested decision-making. Every purchase, every hire, every click, and every corporate pivot is a thread in the vast fabric that Adam Smith first described. And whether you see it as inspiring or concerning, the invisible hand's influence on modern life remains both profound and inescapable. Want more business and finance breakdowns like this? Subscribe to Biz Daily Digest for in-depth explorations of strategy, finance, and economics. Hit the like button if you found this interesting, and let me know in the comments. Does Adam Smith's invisible hand still hold up in a data-driven, algorithmic world, or do we need to rethink the balance between free markets and social responsibility for the 21st century?